Hello, my name is Julia Anderson and I'm a hypnotherapist. I know many people have a lot of questions about hypnotherapy, and so the purpose of this little video is to hopefully address many of the basic questions. Now, what hypnotherapy is all about is giving you the power to use your own mind to get rid of unnecessary beliefs or unwanted habits, or to change your feelings about things. You have that power already in your mind. And all a hypnotherapist does is help you bring that out, help you reach in and use those powers that you were already given. Now, what happens when you come for a hypnotherapy session is we talk, and I explain things just as I will be explaining in this video, and then you just relax. You begin by relaxing your body, and that makes it easier to just relax your mind. You remain aware the entire time because this is therapy. And if you weren't aware, you couldn't be doing the therapy for yourself. But it's very enjoyable and relaxing. As a matter of fact, it's very much like reading a really, really good book. And you become totally absorbed in the characters of that book, and the world drops away. The feeling is very similar. However, this will be the story of you, your own story. You'll go inside. Well, what's happening when that's going on? Well, it's really useful when we talk about this to talk about what's inside our heads. Now, there's a brain in there, and there's many ways to talk about what's in there. But for the purposes of hypnotherapy, it's most useful to talk about the conscious mind and everything else. Now, we tend to call everything else subconscious or unconscious. They're, in a way, kind of unfortunate names, but all it means is the part of the mind or the brain that is not the conscious part. Now, that conscious part, it turns out, is actually a very small part of our brain. It's very creative, and it's also the seat of all our abstract thinking. But it's a little bit limited. It can only hold 7 to 10 thoughts at one time. It can only hold 20 seconds of memory, and then it has to go into the rest of the brain. And it also processes more slowly than the rest of the brain. The subconscious processes so fast that before I could even finish thinking the first word of the thought, pick up the cup, my subconscious mind could move my hand, pick up a cup, and bring it to me. So much faster. And it processes so much more information. And sure, some of that information is very basic, like moving all the muscles of my hand and fingers to pick up the cup. But it's so much more than that. And you already know that whenever you stop and think about what's going on, that there's a whole lot more going on than your conscious mind is aware of. I know most of you have had this experience. You're driving down the street and everything's going fine, and suddenly your conscious mind goes, oh no, did I lock the door? Did I turn off the stove? Did I feed the dog? Do I have that paper I need for class or work? And you're thinking about these things, and then suddenly your attention is drawn back to your driving, and you realize you're 4 or 5 or 6 blocks down the road. Who was driving? You were driving. Yes, your subconscious mind can do very complex things. It knows not only how to drive to where you normally go, it knows to look for the stop signs and the red lights and the pedestrians. It can do all of that for you. As a matter of fact, I would say you really couldn't drive at all with just your conscious mind because there's too many things involved. Well, just like this driving example, much of our behavior is actually happening at the subconscious level. And where did this behavior come from? Well, we learned it. We learned it starting at very, very young. And what our subconscious mind wants is for us to stay on this planet as long as possible and be as safe as possible. So anything it can take in, even a very, very young age, and said, oh, that works for them, looking at the parents. Oh, that worked for me. It seems to work, so I'm going to program it in, and I'm always going to react like that. until I find that there's a better way. Then you grow older. And sometimes these programs aren't as useful anymore because you've changed, the world has changed. And so you look in the mirror and you try to change those things. And it doesn't happen easily for you. So that's when you want to call a hypnotherapist, because it's easier for you to just relax, and we can just reprogram that subconscious by letting it know what you would like to do and why you would like to do it, and by using the language of the subconscious and you in a relaxed state. Together, we can achieve success. Thank you.